All right. Welcome once again to another edition to Learn Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, Duck, and here we are in episode 13. And right now, as somebody's going crazy on the elevator call button, I had to shut the door real quick because they're just got their finger on the button and the bell's going off. Hopefully, you guys can't hear it. All right. Uh, it's very distracting though for me. So I apologize if I sound distracted because that's just, oh, they just shut it off. Thank God. Whew. Okay. Today, well, before I get into it, let's just, let me go over real quick. For those of you in the area, and why is my thing not, there we go. Coming up through Milford Photo, I have a couple of beginners photo walks. So if you know anybody who just received a camera, wants to learn how to use their camera, you know, the big boy camera, not the cell phone cameras. I am hosting a beginner's photo walk where I go through the entire process of how to gain proper exposure, how to figure out depth of focus, and the whole 9 yards. Through Milford Photo, you got to sign up through Milford Photo's website or through their meetup page. Also coming up, we haven't quite set a date yet, but I'm going to be doing a strobist workshop with the Art League of New Britain late August, early September, somewhere around there. It'll probably be on a Sunday. That's usually when they have their events. And I'm hoping to get, you know, a good chunk of time so we can really dig into off-camera flash and, you know, the strobist kit. So I'm looking to do maybe a 4 or 5 hour workshop rather than, you know, try to rush through and get everybody cycled through in a quick 3 hours. So stand by for that. But these two are definitely on the books. Also, the end of September, I'm starting a 5-week adult education course with Advanced Ed out of Thomaston, Torrington, the Thomaston, Torrington, Litchfield area, the advanced adult education program there. So if again, somebody who wants to learn, get into photography and are a complete beginner, you can point them towards that as well. If you want information, just hit me up. All right. So that's that for that. What I got for you today is I just want to go over a few things that Adobe has come out with their latest update in Photoshop. As you know, if you subscribe to the Creative Cloud version of Photoshop, they're constantly coming out with new features, all kinds of updates. Sometimes, you know, they're major updates. Sometimes they're just minor bug fixes or whatever it is. But this time around, they actually packed quite a bit. Also, if you kind of keep your finger on the pulse of what's coming down the pipeline, you know, maybe you listen to some YouTube creators that are a little bit more involved with Adobe, and they have those heads up. A lot of those get played out in the beta version of Photoshop. So with your Creative Cloud plan, not only do you get the current version of Photoshop, but you also have access to the beta version. Something I kind of talked on in passing in the past, simply because I don't like cluttering up my system with test software. I'm not one of their beta testers, so I could care less. And as far as bringing that information to you guys, I'd rather cover what is actually here than what is coming. If you want to know what's coming up, there are plenty of other people doing it, just not me. Um, I have enough enough of a hard time coming up with stuff for you guys to do with stuff here, and for me to worry about what's coming down the line. But I do kind of keep tabs on it, just to be aware of what's coming down the pipeline. And a few things have actually now landed in the current version of Photoshop. So let's me switch over. Actually, let me share my screen first and foremost. Share projector. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see moi. And let me get myself organized here. Okay. Switch over to desktop. Let me switch over to, where's my Photoshop? All right. Um, if you're not sure if you have the latest version of Photoshop, here, just open up. Here, let me switch this over. Open up your Creative Cloud app. Okay. When you open up your Creative Cloud app, if you go over to the left-hand side where it says apps, go ahead and click on that. All right. And these are all, the apps that come with your, uh, um, well, all the apps that come with your subscription plus a few additional ones. And of course, down below, there are other apps that you can subscribe to should you want to. But what's more importantly, you want to go over, once you click on apps, you want to come over to the right hand side and just click on view updates. Okay. And this will bring you to your current lineup of what you have installed. And if there is an update available, it will show you in a button here. And then you just click update and it'll update for you. I've already gone ahead and done that, so you're not going to see that here, but it will show you, you can open up the app from here as well. So just keep in mind that this is a place where you can check for your updates if you're not getting the messages automatically. And if you're not sure, the other thing you can do is you can go into this little menu here, the little, what they call the hamburger menu. Click on that where it says help. You can just go all the way almost to the bottom where it says check for updates. All right. And what this does is that if your Creative Cloud hasn't updated in a while, it may be out of sync. So this will resync it, and it just basically pings the Adobe site and checks, make sure that everything is up to date. Okay. All right. Like I said, I've already gone ahead and updated mine. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I have Photoshop already open, but you guys know me. I like to start my process from Lightroom. That's where I keep my things. So there's a few things that, let's see, we'll do. I'm just going to go ahead and shift click, and I'm going to go ahead and open these. If you do Control E or Command E, you can open these up. All right. Won't let me do it in bulk. Okay. Or you can just right click, edit in, and then edit in Adobe Photoshop. But I basically just like doing the Control E on Windows, Command E on what you call it, Macintosh, Apple. All right, so let's see, is it going to open up that last one? Probably not. Let's see, open. There we go. Okay, so I have the four files that we're going to be using today. And the first thing that you're going to notice, all right, one of the things that I love about Lightroom is the ability to create processes that helps simplify a lot of tasks. Right, it helps with the workflow, and in Lightroom, uh, they're they're presets. They're called presets, and all it is just a collection of slider settings and mask settings and things like that that you can kind of like collect into a preset so that you have a one click. You click on that preset and it applies everything that is pre-programmed into that preset. The reason it's different in Lightroom than it is in Photoshop is that Lightroom, the back end, the way Lightroom operates is completely different mechanics than Photoshop. So in Photoshop, we can create presets, but they're called actions. And they're basically just a series of commands and actions that are done to an image to get to the look or the style or the task that you want. Okay. And what I like about creating actions in Photoshop is, again, that it reduces what could be a complex task into a single button press. Now, if you open up your actions panel on Photoshop now, you'll notice that it's a little bit different. They've done a lot of work, and in my opinion, they did a really, really good job with it. There's a couple things that I still got to get used to, but they're minor. But overall, I like what they did. And some people may say, well, they kind of complicated it a little bit because now you got a couple of tabs that you have to flip back and forth from. But, you know, there's only so much real estate available on a screen, so you have to figure out what's the best way of presenting all that information in a concise way that's not going to hinder your workflow or your ability to use the software while giving you access to all those tools. All right. And so what they did is if you notice here, we have our actions tab looks completely different, and it comes pre-populated with a bunch of different actions. Who decided these? I don't know. Some of these are pretty cool. Some of these I can see myself using a lot, just because it's convenient. But some of these, you know, it's like, okay, you know, I don't know when I'll ever use these. All right. Simply because I'm also used to making my own and utilizing my own because I understand what went into it. All right. So here in this tab, we have the essentials. All right. And these are just basically a bunch of pre-designed actions that somebody at Adobe came up with. And the one thing that I noticed is that a lot of these rely very heavily on creating major um, major mental fart here. Um, they want to work non-destructively, so a lot of these rely on smart objects. Okay, now smart objects, if you're aware, uh, it's a great way of preserving things that would normally get destroyed during the process. Uh, but what it does is it creates, think of it like a sub file within your main file. So if I decide to turn, a layer into a smart object, what that does is it creates a separate file that you can edit, but it is embedded within your main file. Okay. And the way you can know that is it will open up a second tab. And I might show this to you in a little bit. So it's good in the respect that it can preserve your images without being destructive. On the downside, it creates very bloated files. Whenever you embed a file within a file, it just adds to the file size, and it can get a little bit unwieldy, especially if you use a bunch of these actions and you don't go back and kind of work through your workflow to reduce the size by flattening out certain parts of it. Okay. All right. So the flip side to this is that any of the actions that you've already created are still saved. All right. You here up at the top, you have essentials, and then right next to it, you're going to see yours. This is where all your actions that you made and all the folders that you created, that's where they're all going to be stored. Okay. Now, the default for these is as if they are a button. So you basically click on it once, it launches the action, it does whatever the action is. So you have to be careful when you're playing around with this panel. If you accidentally click on it, all right, it's going to launch that action. All right. So be careful. Now, if this seems a little bit all too weird for you and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm crazy about this new layout, you can still you still have access to let me see if I can get my cursor. There you go. You still have access to the old style. So if you go to the little menu button up here, menu, and if you go almost to the bottom, you're going to see actions, and then you say classic actions. All right. So if you click on classics, that takes you to the old style of actions. Okay. And what's missing here, oh no, it's still there. Okay. So see this button modes? This buttons mode is basically what was updated. Okay. So you still have the old classic style of buttons, all right, where you just click on it once and it launches it. That's how the new actions work. Just the organization aspect is a little bit different. Okay, so actions and classic actions. Okay. Now, the other thing you're going to notice is that everything is now, instead of being accessed through this menu. All right, so if you want to edit a particular action, you used to have to come up to the menu at the top, and you had all kinds of choices available to you on how to manipulate your action. They are now within the action itself. If you notice, there's going to be a little cogwheel, and there's also going to be the three ellipses for a menu. Okay, so you have access to, uh, you know, to edit, to play the action, duplicate it, delete it, et cetera, et cetera. That was available previously. It's just now you have to go to the action itself, all right, and press on that little three dots here. All right, and then you have the cogwheel. When you click on the cogwheel, this takes you to the edit panel where you can kind of edit your action. All right, and the first thing you're going to notice is that we can now organize our action by giving them a color and an icon. All right, they call it thumbnails here. So you choose the icon. You know, it's got a limited set. How they pick these, I don't know. Uh, I don't know if these are all appropriate to some of the actions that I build. So I just kind of look for an action that, or an icon that kind of sort of resembles what it is that my action is for. And then, of course, you have all the original colors that were available with the button mode. Okay. And then, of course, you give it, you can give it your action the name, or you can edit the name here. And you can give it a little bit of a description, which is great because one thing I've noticed about some actions that I've built in the past, sometimes I'll build an action to do one specific task that I don't do all that often. So what happens is, 6 months, a year down the road, year and a half, I'll come across that action and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember, but damn, I can't remember how to use it. All right. Or, I may have a vague idea of what I built it for, but not quite 100%. So what's nice is here in the description, you can kind of give yourself these little cues that kind of refresh your memory, or instructions. So if there's a prerequisite that you have to have a certain layer name, or you have to have a certain layer selected in order for the action to work, you can put that in the description as well. And then, of course, the other part is you can create shortcuts just the same way as previously. So all that is there. And then right below that, we have all our controls, start and stop recording. We can add a step here. All right, if you click insert an action, insert a menu item, a stop, a conditional. These were all the same things that were available in the classic version. They're just a little bit more easily accessible right there. And you can move your steps up and down. Okay. And then on each step, you can, of course, expand it to get a sense of what each step is doing. All right. Oops. And of course, you have that same menu here, as well as the ability to turn that step on or off. Okay. And the ability to edit that step. Okay. So just like previously, except before you kind of had to double click to edit, to go into the edit mode. This one, you just click that little edit icon and it opens up the edit mode for that particular step. Okay. Any questions on the new panel? Like I said, it's going to take you a little bit of time to get used to because it does look completely different than what you are used to working with, especially if you're like me, where you like to go in and kind of fine tune and edit steps, add steps, remove steps, things like that. It takes a little getting used to. Okay. All right. The here, let me go into into this one. The next thing that is kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of neat idea. I haven't found a practical use for it, and that is the layer cleanup. All right. So when I work with layers, uh, I tend to be very, what's the term? Economical with my layers. Again, I don't want to create something that's too bloated. I'll find ways of kind of consolidating some steps, maybe, flattening some steps that are super critical. So when I work with layers, I'm kind of conservative about it. However, there are times where I'll go into an experimental mode and I'm just creating layers left and right. And after a while, that can get a little bit, unruly. So they introduced, and actually here, what I'll do is I'll show you. I'll create a new layer. I'm not going to put anything into it. And I already have a few layers already here. You can see I have a gradient fill. Um, I don't know why this was called rectangle one. I have no idea. Rectangle one copy. Oh, I think that was, yeah, the background to this 3D effect. All right, this one I just created. It's an empty layer, and then of course I have this one which is my image layer with a mask applied. Okay, so I have all these layers. I know it's not a lot of layers, but I just needed something to give you an example of. All right, and you're gonna see that there is right at the very, very top. Let me see if you can see it. It says layer cleanup, layer cleanup. All right. So if you click on that, what it's going to do is going to give you this little pop-up window. And you can, it gives you some choices. You can delete empty layers. All right. If you want to delete empty layers, you just click on that. And if you want to rename layers, you can click on that. Okay. And then you have the option either to the entire document, or if you want, you can just, select a certain number of layers and apply the cleanup to those selected layers. Okay. So in this case, we're just going to do the complete entire document. We're going to delete any empty layers and we're going to rename layers. Okay. And then we're just going to click on the apply button, and very quickly, and you notice what the first thing it did is it got rid of that empty layer, that blank layer that I originally created when I opened it up. And it's renamed a few of these layers. Okay. So for example, here, actually, let me go back, edit, undo layer cleanup, just to show you. Okay. So the first one here says gradient fill 1, and then it says rectangle 1, then rectangle 1 copy. All right, this is the blank layer that I created. It says layer 2, and then my image layer that says layer 1. All right, with the mask. Okay, so remember that. gradient, rectangle 1, rectangle copy, layer 2, and layer 1. All right. So if I reapply that cleanup, gradient fill 1 is still labeled gradient fill. All right. Because that's pretty much self-explanatory. That's exactly what it is. This next layer, which was rectangle 1, has now been renamed blurred black object. So um, it uses AI image recognition to kind of scan the pixels of what that layer contains. All right, and if you look down at the bottom, all that is it uh, generates that drop shadow for me. Okay, that's all it's doing. So it renamed it blurred black object. Okay, now it doesn't recognize it as a drop shadow. All right, it's naming it by how it sees it, and it sees it's just this kind of like blobby black shape, and uses that. All right, then the next one up, gray gradient square. All right, again, it uses real world language. It analyzes what is it that I'm looking at, and it says, well, it's a square that's got a gray gradient. All right, so it renamed it, and also it analyzed my main image and renamed it clock tower into trees. Okay, which is pretty good description considering it doesn't know, what the image was that I took of. All right, so that's a nice way of kind of very quickly reorganizing um, your layer stack. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna undo. Let's see, edit, undo, edit. Uh, Actually, let me just. I'm gonna go ahead and revert. Okay, here we go. If All right, the things you got to worry about are what take into consideration is any layers that you actively rename. Okay, so if I name this clock tower, because actually that's what it is. Okay, and I rename this one drop shadow. All right, and then I go ahead and redo this layer cleanup. All right, just click on the same thing again. You're going to notice that uh, it's going to keep whatever you rename a layer to. All right, it's not going to rename it. It's going to assume that you know better than it does, and it's going to, honor whatever you named the layer. All right. This one here, it didn't, so it's going to go ahead and relabel that one. And of course, the clock tower, because I gave it that name, it retains that name. Okay, so a lot of this tends to kind of be a little bit hit and miss, but it's a start, and I have a feeling that as the program gets better, especially with AI recognition, this particular feature will eventually get a lot better as well. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, let's go back to this image. The next one is the next update is dynamic text. I don't know if you guys do, a lot of stuff with text. Let's see. Let's go click here. I'm going to do Unitas.
I treat Photoshop like Illustrator.
What's that?
I treat Photoshop like Illustrator with
Oh, there
regard
you
to
go.
I don't
Okay.
know how to do anything with Illustrator.
Yeah, so if you're familiar, or if you're into using Photoshop for text, this is a nice feature. Now, the first part, they added this a while back. If you look at uh, the context bar, of course, gives you the name of the font that you're using, the size, the color, your alignment, and then it's got these icons here. And this one with the lightning bolt. This one was added not too long ago. It's not, totally new, but it's fairly new, and it was for dynamic text. All right, and what it did is it just kind of creates this text that kind of just organizes things according to uh, the number of lines, and it just kind of makes things even left and right and things like that. So it's a quick way of organizing text into a block and making it look kind of sort of pretty. All right. And there is a certain amount of flexibility to it. You just kind of have to play around, um, you know, but getting anything to follow an arc in Photoshop, yeah, it was tricky. It can be done, but it was tricky. Well, they made it a little bit easier here. All right, so let me go ahead and delete this. What I'm going to do
Hey,
is I'm just
Doc,
going to, yep,
that, so make sure I understand this. That picture you just, image you just, or the text, you're saying
yep,
if you just open your text box and type in 2 lines of words and then hit that button that you just described, it'll organize the size and the width and all that?
correct,
Okay, got it.
correct.
Thanks.
All right. So I'm going to go and I'm going to put this on a single line. Okay. And if we go click on the icon that has the lightning bolt, you're going to see that now, in addition, before it just went directly into dynamic text. Now it has this little drop down that allows you to select the traditional dynamic text, but now you can put the text in a circle, in an arc going up, or in an arc going down. So if you wanted to create something in an arc, you just click on it and voila, there you go. Okay. So this makes it really, really nice to, be able to um, uh, create, textural medallions, all right, where you can have one line going over, one line curved underneath, maybe a little graphic in the center. You'll notice this in signs and in t-shirts and things like that. Okay, and of course you can also do it the other way around, where it goes underneath, or if you wanted to, you can put it into a circle. Okay, and if you go into your edit mode, okay, the node edit mode, all right, this gives you the ability to edit your path a little bit. So now you're no longer, um, actually, let me undo that. Uh, Let me put it into an arc, because that one you'll be able to see a little bit better. There we go. All right, we go into the edit mode, and what this is, it is an editable path, okay, that you can now take and, oops, be nice if I entered the right mark. It's a little clunky, all right. As you can see, my system's kind of hanging up a little bit here. It does take some resources, but you're able to manipulate the path a little bit and make the text go wherever you want. Okay. For me, I prefer using vector tools for this because it's a little bit more of a control. All right, but if you don't have access to a vector program like Illustrator or other, something else, you can kind of sort of do the same thing right here with this tool and come up with something unique. Okay. So again, you're not limited to that arc. You can go ahead and manipulate uh, the curve. Okay. All right. So for those of you who work with typography, that is now available. All right. Let me go ahead and get rid of all those. Let me go to the next one here. All right, this one here, this next feature, again, part of it isn't new. They just made it a little bit better. Okay, so just keep that in mind as AI capabilities become more refined. Object selection becomes more refined. Object identification becomes more refined. These tools are only going to get better, and it's going to make our job so much easier as editors. Okay, so what we have here is a scene. This is from New York City. We got these globe art pieces that were on display, and we have people walking through. We got light poles, we got signs, we got this trash can way back here in the distance. All right, and we have people, and I'm like, I want to clean. Excuse me. I want to clean things up a little bit. Okay, so one of the best ways to do it is with the AI remove tool. Okay, which is this band-aid with the little AI stars next to it. You just click on that, and if you just draw, oh my friggin' lord, it's okay. My cursor's gone crazy again. All right, and you just basically make a selection of what it is that you want to remove. All right, and then go up to uh, the top. You could either click on the check mark, or what I normally do is just hit the enter key. It's going to run through the little AI. It's cloud-based, so you're going to need internet connection for this. Right? It's going to analyze it, and it's going to remove it for you. Okay. And of course, I have it set up so that it creates a new layer so that in case I need to make any changes, I have that capability. Okay. Now, that's all well and good if you want complete control over it. Remove a little piece here at a time, a little bit at a time. But if you want to make things go a little bit faster, again, you have to have one of these selection tools available. All right. And then if you go to the top, the top menu here, the context menu, all right, you're going to see this here that says find distractions. All right. And they've added, you've had wire and cables and you had people before. All right. Now they added general distractions. Okay. General distractions. And you're going to notice that it says find, and then the one with wires and cables just says remove. Okay. So they have general distractions listed first and then people. General distractions is not going to target people. Okay. So whenever I use these tools, I tend to go with people first. So I'll click on find. All right, give it a second. It's going to analyze the image. Okay, and it spotted this group back here of people in the background. It did not target the guy with the stroller or the woman on the bicycle. It's not 100% reliable because it doesn't know what your intent was as a photographer. So it's seeing the guy with the stroller as being the subject of the photo. All right. So it's not going to tag it for removal. All right. But once you're in this tool, if you want to, you can, obviously go ahead and uh, select what it is that you want to, go ahead and, oops, and add to the removal. Just, do your little, what you call it, brush all the way around it. All right, and of course my brush is not working because I have a system that likes to mess with me at the most inopportune times. All right, so all you got to do is just go ahead and uh, add to whatever you want to remove. Hit enter, and it's going to remove all those people from the scene, and it's going to use generative AI to fill in the background space. Okay. Now, the one thing you want to notice is that while it's working through here, I'll mention this up here. All right. I have sample all layers. In this case, I only have one layer, so this doesn't matter. But sometimes when you have multiple layers, if you're doing something with like a composite, you want to make sure that sample all layers is checked. Otherwise, it's going to use whatever layer you're on. And if there's nothing there, let's say you're working a composite and you're trying to remove something that's not in that layer part of the composite, if this isn't checked, it's not going to find anything and it's just not going to do anything. So make sure you sample all layers. And also, if you want to make sure that you're able to kind of walk back any mistakes, you can go ahead and say create new layer, and it's going to, whatever it generates is going to put it on a new layer. And for some reason I cannot complete your request because of a program error. Okay, so it looks like my system is giving me problems. Give me 1 second. The only solution for this is I have to shut down and restart, of course. So give me 1 second. I apologize, guys. Isn't that always the case? All right. So let's go down here. Let's go Control E. We're going to open this up again in Photoshop, and hopefully it fixes the problem. Okay, here we go. All right, so once again, I want to make sure that the remove tool, the AI version remove tool, is selected. Find distractions. All right, people. The other one that's right next to it, what mode do you want to be in? All right, what's the mode? Okay. Auto is usually what I will use, okay? But you can either always use generative AI or you can turn generative AI off. All right. If you turn AI off, what it's going to do is it's going to use the surrounding content of your image to try to rebuild the whatever it is it's trying to remove. Uh, the results can be quite hilariously questionable. All right. Um, if quality of the render is the goal, you might want to stick to using the AI. What I like to do is I like to keep it in auto, let the program figure out, do I need to use AI for this, or is there something like, for example, if I'm just getting rid of something that's surrounded by like the trees in the background, it's probably not going to use the AI feature. Okay. It's probably just going to use the local aspect of it. All right, so let's find distraction, find people. All right, again, it's going to find that person in the background. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure you get the shadow, draw a circle, it auto completes it. See, it's nice when my tool works properly. Make sure you get the shadow. All right, hit enter. Going to go through the, again, it's cloud based, so it's going to send everything up to the cloud. You're going to need internet, and voila, just like that, we have people, no people, people, no people. And if you notice, even like in this area where those two women are, obviously it doesn't know what is back there. Okay, and if we look at it, we can tell that that's supposed to be a person. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a hat, kind of like a top hat, wavy hair. There's an eye right here, an eye. Right, you can see the collar, the shoulder, the sleeve, part of a hand here. Okay, we can see that. We know what it is because we have that ability um, to kind of complete the image that's not there. AI doesn't really have full grasp of that ability, so it's going to make something up. But even what it made up, from a distance, a quick glance, if you don't know what it's supposed to be, that did a pretty decent job. Okay. If maintaining the authenticity of that is important, well, then you look through your collection and hopefully you have somewhere else in another frame a version of that you can just comp right in. Okay. But you can see it does a really good job of removing people. Now, the new part is this general distractions. General distractions. So if we click on that, oops, see, the target layer is unsupported. Create a new layer. Select sample all layers. All right. Why did it give me that error? If we look at my layer stack, I don't have anything selected. Nothing is selected. Make sure you have a layer selected. So I'm going to make sure that I have my base layer, my background layer selected first. Find general distractions. Okay, it's going to do the analysis. Basically, it's going to look at the image, analyze it, kind of detect what the objects are that creates this image, and then through the AI feature, it's going to analyze it and determine what it considers as a distraction. And of course, it goes by whatever was coded by Adobe, light posts, garbage in a city scene. Garbage tends to be, something that it does a really good job of picking out, the litter. I shouldn't say garbage. The litter on a street, for example. Um, if you look down below here, you're going to see that it says wires and cables. Uh, that was introduced really, really, really early on. It was first introduced in Camera Raw. It's now here, okay? And it just says remove. It doesn't go through the whole analysis process. It's just going to remove it. It does a fairly decent job of uh, uh, recognizing what wires are, telephone wires, electrical lines, things like that, and reducing it. Okay, so it's done the analysis, and if we look, we can see a bunch of different things that are kind of color coded. We see our light posts here. We have two kinds. We have this kind of like modern light post here, and then a more of an old-fashioned light post in the background. They're color coded yellow. If we look at the where we clicked on the general distractions, all right, we have a selection menu, kind of what you will find in the masking section of Lightroom, where if you click on the architecture or the landscape mask, it gives you a choice of what types of masks to build. Or if you click on the people, it will give you a choice of what masks to build: eyes, lips, hair, clothing, face, skin, etc. It's the same thing. All right, and in this case it also gives you a color key based on the colors that it's using to overlay the selection. So you can see this light pole, the light poles have been tinted yellow. If we go here to the yellow, you can see it says poles. All right. So it gives you all these things that I identify. Ground features are in cyan. All right. And if we look here, we can see these areas of cyan. All right. I don't know exactly what it is that it's finding in these ground features. All right. But it also spotted that orb off to the side. Identified objects. Who knows what that means? Okay. Poles, shadows. Okay. It identifies shadows. In this case, it's identified it's identified the shadow behind this globe, and it's flagged it. I don't want that, so I'm going to go ahead and uncheck. All right. Spots and dust. All right. Oh, it actually recognized the shadow as being the spot and dust. All right. So that's the thing. You might want to just double check everything. If you toggle that little check mark, it'll allow you to see what is it that is. All right. So like the poles here. All right. You can see exactly which ones are being selected and marked. All right. And actually, as I toggle that on back and forth, I noticed that all the way over here, it's also identifying part of the tree because it lines up with the light pole. The light pole and then the tree, see how they kind of line up? So it's identifying that whole structure as a pole. Okay. So again, it's not as smart as us. Unrecognized. So we have identified objects. All right. What's that? Oh, that's that. You notice the globe all the way on the right hand side. Okay. Which I definitely don't want to remove it. So I'm going to uncheck it. And we have unrecognized objects. So if we toggle that on, oh, I see it. It's the underneath here. It's this base right here. that little hole underneath. So behind this orb, there's a second orb. So it's looking at the base of that and identifying. So I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to uncheck the spots and dust simply because it's identifying some of that shadows as being part of it. And then any visual clutter. Okay, visual clutter. Okay, you're going to notice way back here this trash can. All right, that's recognizing it as visual clutter, but it's also recognizing the wall next to it. So I don't want the poles to be removed. Oh no, maybe I want some of the poles. Okay, so let's do this. Ground features. I'm not. Oh yeah, I see them. Okay, we'll get rid of those ground features. The visual clutter. All right, we want to get rid of that. But here, let me zoom in. Oops. Control plus. All right. So we want to get rid of the trash can. We don't want to get rid of the wall. All right. And I want to get rid of the modern poles. I don't want to get rid of the old-fashioned poles. Okay. So what we're going to do, again, you have to weigh whether this tool is worth it or whether it's easier to you to do it on your own. If I press and hold the Alt key or the Option key for you Mac people, I can use this tool to remove all this, all right, to remove this from that selection. So I'm going to remove this one and this one and this whole thing here, Alt and remove, okay. There we go. Okay, and everything else looks pretty good. Let me zoom back out, hit enter, or you can hit the key. Oh, giving me an error. Yeah, my system's having issues, guys. All right, but basically it would go into the remove feature and it would just go ahead and delete and remove those features. Okay. Oh, didn't remove the entire poll. What did I do? Okay. All right. Yeah. So my system's having a little bit of an issue. It would basically just do that. But that's what that tool is for. Okay. Any questions on that so far?
I have a question.
Pretty straightforward.
I have a
What's
question.
that? Yeah.
Uh, Before you went on to the second one, you said something. The way I have it set up, it'll make a layer. Does it do
Yes.
that on? So there's some settings you have to do so that it does that?
Yeah.
Because it looks
So
like you
so
create a
right
layer.
up here. Yeah, right
Oh,
up here it
okay.
says create new layer. Just
Got
make
it.
sure that's toggled on. And uh, if you notice here, my layer stack, okay, that pole right there. And then this one is that other pole. Okay. So the reason I like creating a new layer is because let's say uh, it erased something that you inadvertently didn't want erased. Okay. You're able to go ahead and you can just attach a mask. All right. And go to your brush tool. Black with black is your foreground color. You can, oops, wrong one here. It was over here. right? You can bring parts. So let's say, you know, you only wanted to bring, you know, part of whatever it erased back. You can do that. Okay. That's the only reason I put it on its own layer, is just to be able to edit those things that it replaced it. Excuse me, it replaced it with. Okay. So for example, uh, here. All right. We'll go into this here. All right. So remember earlier what it did was that it kind of selected part of that wall along with the trash barrel. All right. Because it's on a separate layer, I can say, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to let it go ahead and let it do its removal. All right. Because it's on a separate layer, what I can do is I can say, all right, I'm going to add a layer mask, and with black as my foreground color, oops, brush, black as my foreground color, I can bring back that wall. Okay. And of course I would just, you know, do it the nice way. Okay. Make sense? All right. The other one that I think was really, really good feature that they brought out is this one here. Let me go ahead and open this up in Photoshop. And that's remove reflections. Now, remove reflections isn't new. It was available in Adobe Camera Raw. All right. What they've done is they moved it from Camera Raw and they put it into Photoshop proper, which allows you to play around with it. Okay. Now, there's one caveat to this. All right. It does not work on a raw photo. Okay. Anymore. It does not work on a raw photo. Because they turned it from a kind of like a destructive function to a non-destructive function. All right. In order for it to work, it either will work on a JPEG or a TIFF file. It's not going to work on the raw file. Right. It's also not going to work on a 16-bit image. All right. So once you open up into Photoshop, obviously Photoshop uses the TIFF format for its editing, or if you've already converted it to JPEG and brought it in, it'll work there. All right, but you want to make sure that you are in 8-bit mode. Okay, so make sure that you go to Image, click on, and then where it says Mode, you're going to go down and hit 8-bit mode, 8 bits per channel. Okay. Once you are in 8-bit mode, if we go to edit, about halfway down, you're going to see edit, you're going to see reflection removal. Okay. Reflection removal. Just click on that and it brings up this little dialog box. All right. And you have the ability to create separate reflection layers. And I suggest you do this because, and I'll show you why, because it's kind of pretty cool. Okay. And then right below that, you're going to have a drop down. And with this drop down, you have 3 selections. You can preview it. You can do a standard resolution, or you can do the best resolution. Okay. Remember, it's working on an 8-bit um, 8-bit vector graphic. Okay. All right. So what's been suggested, and I kind of agree, is if you want to see what this tool looks like, what, whether it can even remove the reflections in your image, just do it in the preview mode because it's going to be the lowest resolution. It's going to be the fastest method. All right. Because I found that it doesn't work on every image that we consider as having a reflection. All right. It tends to work really well on on pictures of plate glass windows like this, where the reflection is very strong. All right. Again, it uses AI to analyze the contents. And in this case, it's analyzing the contents of both what it considers to be the window display and what it considers to be the reflection display. All right, so in this case, we have this Dunkin' Donut graphics on the window, which is obscuring a lot of that reflection of the building. So it's going to use whatever information is available in that reflection to rebuild that image. So it's going to use generative AI to rebuild the image. All right. So this is what it looks like. We're going to keep it on preview mode. We're going to click OK. It's going to go through the process, send it up to the cloud, analyze it, come back down, and it's going to return two new layers. All right. So we have our background layer, then we have reflection layer, and then we have the reflection removal. Okay. So the top layer is basically the window with the reflection removed. But you can see it didn't do quite the best job. There's a little bit of residual something going on up here. All right. If you want to know what it is, all right, we can just kind of go to our original image, take a look at it, and it says, oh, well, that's part of the sky and the clouds. And I can see where it would make that, it would have trouble identifying because it's white text against a white cloud. It probably had a hard time differentiating what was reflection and what was lettering. So we're going to get some anomalies. All right. Uh, but the thing is, it did a really decent job that even if we wanted to, it would be very easy to correct this little section up here because everything else looks pretty darn good. All right. Pretty darn good. All right. So we have the layer that was reflecting, and then below it, we have our reflection. This is what was being reflected in the glass. And holy cow, if we compare that to what we see in the original, it did a really good job extrapolating what that is all supposed to be. Okay. Had a little bit of trouble with the lettering, but overall it's not too bad. Okay.
Had that been a good piece of scenery, you could have ended up with, and if it had worked correctly, you could have ended up with two good pictures.
Oh, exactly, exactly. Uh, it's funny because I remember when this tool first came out and was introduced in Camera Raw. Uh, Somebody said you can take a picture of a person unbeknownst to them reflected in a window, all right, run it through this and separate their picture from the whatever's in the window, and you have their picture. All right. So when I read that, all I think of is, CSI, when they take
Yeah.
like the surveillance pictures and they enhance it, and all of a sudden they can
Yes.
read license plates from 5 miles away.
Yes.
Every time I cringe, but look at the technology now. We
I
can
know.
extrapolate somebody's face from a reflection and do a really, really decent job of it. All right. So anyway, uh, so why have it on two separate layers? Because, all right, so let's say I didn't want to spend a lot of time fixing this, and right now it doesn't look like I'm photographing a um a window scene. All right. So it might be nice to have a little bit of that reflection back. Maybe not as much as what was there. All right. So just enough to give a little bit of a hint that it's a reflection. So maybe I'll go to 80%. Okay. Now, if we compare the original that has a very strong reflection, this now allows us to concentrate more on that foreground element, all right, where the reflection isn't as distracting. It's there. It informs the viewer that what we are looking at is a reflection. All right, so it maintains that aspect of the original intent of your image, but it just kind of tones it down a little bit so it's not, the reflection isn't as in your face. All right, especially if you've photographed reflections in the past, they're a pain in the ass, and usually what they're reflecting is a much brighter scene behind you, because usually it's like the sky or whatever scenery is being lit by the sun behind you, or that's being reflected. So the reflection tends to be more distracting than anything else. So this is just a way of kind of being able to tone that down significantly without removing the intent of the reflection. Okay, make sense?
Wonder if that's a good way to get rid of reflections in people's eyeglasses.
Um, Probably. You know what? I haven't tried it. Um, I've tried using generative remove to remove the reflections, and it sometimes it gets really, really good results. That, unless you know the person, and that's the trick. If you know the person, you look and say, yeah, that doesn't look like him, because it alters the look of the eyes too much. But uh, the brighter the reflection in the glasses, the harder it is for it to correct it. But this may be able to, if the reflection of the light isn't overly bright, isn't completely destroying the foundational underlying pixels of the person. So it may be, yeah, it may extrapolate that. Who knows? I'll have to play around with that. Um, but I noticed that it does best with what it considers a window reflection. Okay, I tried it on some products. It didn't do a good job. Which sucked, because it would really help me to be able to get rid of reflections in shiny plastic pieces. Okay. All right. The other thing that let me go to here. The other thing that they did a lot of work on, of course, was with their generative AI. The latest model is Firefly 5, right? Firefly 5. Um, and I haven't played around too much with it, so I'm not. I know there's a here it is. No, where was it? Somewhere they created a workspace for working with generative AI, And of course, now that I need to find it, I'm not finding it simply because I haven't played around enough with it. Um, uh, da, da, da. Oh, the other thing they added, image rotation. Image rotation. Again, I haven't played too much with it, so I'm not going to cover it today. But basically, you know, if it's an object that it can identify, what it can do is it can create kind of like a pseudo three-dimensional model of it, and you're able to kind of rotate it within the space of a 2D image. I'll have to play around with it and get back to you, but I haven't, so I can't speak too informatively on that. And of course, the other one, the Firefly, I can't speak too informatively because I don't really use a lot of that here. All right. However, let's see. Let me go to. All right. But the one thing that was kind of a pain in the butt, all right, is whenever you use anything that is requiring credits. In the past, it's like, oh, I don't know how many credits I have. I don't know how many credits I've used. I don't know how many credits, this particular task takes. All right. Um, for the longest time, as these tools were being developed, Adobe was not charging for credits. That time has passed. Um, so now they're starting to charge for credits. So it's good to be able to understand, what is it that I am using? What's my allowance? Okay, so uh, let me go ahead and cancel this. All right, so what I did is I just basically created a selection. I just, clicked on my lasso tool. I circled this globe back here. And let's say I wanted to change it to something else. Okay. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to kind of walk through the steps. You make your selection. You click on generative fill. All right. And here you can actually, maybe I'll do it. Model of the planet Earth. Okay. All right. And previously, it gave you one line. And of course, you understand that if you're writing a prompt to generate an image, you need a little bit of space to be a little bit more descriptive. The more descriptive you are, the better the results tend to be. Well, when you were stuck with a single line and you ran out of space, trying to go back and figure out what it was that you were typing. Did I mention that? All right, let me double check my spelling. Whatever it was kind of cumbersome. They fixed it, so now they are, oops, cancel. All right. They allow you to now have, multiple lines, and as you expand, make it look like a plastic sculpture. All right. So every time you add to it, it's just going to expand that window, so you don't have to, try to figure out how do you get back to the beginning. Okay. You still have your your model choices here. All right, the latest version is Firefly Image 5. All right, and you notice that it has the little crown next to it. That means that this is um, a feature that is going to cost credits. Okay. It's gonna, well, all these kind of cost credits, but this is, this is definitely going to cut into your credits. Uh, and of course, these are the Adobe AI tools. And if we go up a little higher, right next to where it says Adobe, it says the partner. These are the partner programs, and oops, partner, and you're going to see all the different partner programs. Okay, now they don't have the little crown at the end here like previously, but if you notice in the button that says partner, you have that little button that says this is a pay feature. Okay, and these are all going to cost you credits to use. All right, so you have all these features. All right. Um, so how do we figure out how much credits do we have? How many credits have we used? What's do we still have available? And more importantly, how much do these cost? Okay. Right next to it, where you make this selection, you're going to see this little AI asterisk tool icon here. If you click on that, it's going to create this little pop-up window that gives you all that information. Okay, so if you have the basic plan like I do, you get 250 credits a month. All right, that comes with your subscription. You can buy more. You can add to your subscription so you can have additional credits. Obviously, it's going to cost you a little bit more money on a monthly basis, but right here it tells you everything. My credit balance, I have 229 out of 250 credits left. You can see I don't use it a lot. What features require credits? Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit. And it also gives you the countdown to when this will reset. All right, I have 13 days before it resets. Okay, my plan. All right, and of course, if you want to upgrade or buy more credits, you can do that now, or just go to the buy now. If you run out and you need credits, just go to buy now. I don't think they're overly expensive to buy credits. Okay, and learn more about generative credits. Okay. But if you look at what features require credits, if we click on that, it's going to bring you to the next tab, all right? Credits, balance, features, okay? Right here, this gives you a breakdown of everything that uses generative AI and how much it costs, okay? So, for example, generative features, AI denoise and AI sharpen can be anywhere from 10 to 20 credits. Depends on how hard the system has to work. All right. Generate background, 1 credit. Generate an image, 1 credit. So you can see if you got 250 credits, how many images. And by images, it doesn't necessarily mean the full entire canvas. Like, for example, I say I want to create a model of the planet Earth. It's going to generate an image. It's small within my canvas, but it's still considered generating an image. So it's going to cost me 1 credit. All right. If you look at it and say, oh, that looks kind of ugly, I need to generate something, it's going to cost me an additional credit. All right. The nice thing about the Firefly model is with the generative AI is it's going to give you 3 variations to choose from. Those 3 variations cost you 1 credit. If you need an additional 3, that's going to be another credit. However, if you are using the partner models like Nano Banana, you're only going to get one version of that image. If you need a second one, it's going to cost you another however many credits. How many credits is it? Well, let's take a look down here. All right. So here's all the Firefly image, Firefly fill and expand. All of that takes, 1 credit. When we get down to here, Flux, 10 credits. Flux Pro, 20 credits. Gemini, the 2.5 version, which is, version and a half back, 10 credits. If you want to use the latest one, okay, Gemini 3, 40 credits. So it's going to sock you. All right. That's one of the reasons why I don't really use these. Some of these, yes, they are better models. But what I find is that I subscribe to, excuse me, I subscribe, wow. Hold on one second. I need a drink of water real quick. Holy cow, when my voice goes, huh? All right. Sorry. I subscribe to a AI subscription model that has ChatGPT and all these others built into it. Part of it is Nano Banana, all right? It doesn't work on a credit basis. It's a flat fee subscription rate that I pay for. So because I have that version of Nano Banana, I'm not going to pay, anywhere from 10 to 40 credits for the same tool in Photoshop that I can use elsewhere. Yes, I have to go outside of Photoshop to use it, but it's going to cost me less. Okay. I'll use it with Firefly all day. At 1 credit a hit, that doesn't bother me. All right. But 40 credits a hit, you're going to burn through credits really, really quick. So just so you know. All right. Same goes with Topaz 35 and Topaz Gigapixel 10 to 20. So if you have Topaz, you already subscribe to Topaz, that's probably already in that subscription. Don't use it through Photoshop. Okay. The Harmonize, another feature that's fairly recent. I'm not going to get into because, again, I haven't used it enough to be able to inform you on it. 5 credits, not too bad. All right. And then the rotate object, holy cow, 20 credits to rotate an object. And the problem with that is if it doesn't make the object look like what it really is, you're burning 20 credits. It doesn't matter if you can use the object that it creates or not. It doesn't matter if, the variation, like here we go. Let's generate our planet Earth. If for some reason you can't use it, it doesn't matter. You've spent the credits. Okay. All right. So hopefully that clarifies this a little bit. All right. All right. Oh, so if you don't want to check your credits from from the tool itself, the other place you can do it is right up here in the upper corner of Photoshop. You're going to see that same icon. All right, just click on that. It pops up the same window. All right, so just know it's available in the context bar. Okay, right there. All right, or you can go up to the corner. All right. Oh, and only created 1 variation. Oh, that's because I used the latest version. All right. So that cost me, what was it, 5 credits, whatever it was. All right. Had I used the Firefly Fill and Expand, I probably would have, it would have only hit me once. All right. I'm not crazy about it. It kind of kept the color. All right. Because it was already the planet Earth. Okay. Can't use it. I still spent the credits. So just be warned. Okay. Any questions on anything we covered? Anybody? Questions?
No.
All right. So you have some new tools to play with. All right. Alan, I'm sure you can use a lot of those distraction tools with your nature photography. Get rid of the garbage that humans leave behind. Okay. We got a few minutes left. Any questions in general about anything? No? Okay. All right. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. So hopefully you got something out of it. And we'll return to having some fun stuff to do next week.
Cool.
Great. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, for me, Doc, I'll say that text wrapping and circulating was a big deal. I never really figured out how to do that all these years. So that's nice. I'll be playing with that one for sure.
All righty, awesome. And it's editable text. So just like any text, you can change the fonts, you can change the size, the kerning, the whole 9 yards. All right. And if you know how to work with vector lines, you saw that you can modify the arc into a different shape. Okay.
Cool, good stuff.
All righty, guys. Enjoy. Stay safe.
Thank you.
We'll catch you next week.
Have a
Thank you,
good
Doc.
one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Ciao, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.